Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to Live Life Driven, the Answers Yes podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Got a lot going on this week. Our numbers continue to climb. I'm just going to throw it out there. My goal is to have 100,000 subscribers by March of next year. We've got a lot of neat things going on. We're in the mid 50,000s right now. And this journey's been crazy for me. 3 years ago, I never thought I'd do a podcast. I was literally looking on the internet how to do it. And here I am. Great guests every week, at least two or more. And today I've got Mark Lachance on the line. How are you today, sir?
I'm amazing, Jim. Thank you for having me.
I love it. You know what's crazy is I've been involved in marketing for probably the last 30 years in the alcohol business, and I'm so fascinated by TikTok. So when I got your biography, I saw that you guys do a lot of work with TikTok and advertising and stuff. And it's not that I want to be on there, but it's kind of sucked me in a little bit.
Well, you know, what's funny is we have the biggest TikTok agency in Canada, meaning by spend, and I'm not even on TikTok. So I'm with you. I'm not on it either. So don't worry about it.
It's out there for a reason. It's successful for a reason. I want to talk all about your agency, but Mark, give us an opportunity to know a little bit about you, where you came from, and how you became what you are today and working for this big agency in social media.
Sure. So I grew up in Connecticut, actually, Jim, on the East Coast, and from there I went to school in Boston, and I got into I was a sports agent for a long time. But before I was a sports agent, I worked for my father, and I listened to your previous podcast with Zach from Utah, who worked for his parents in construction. Same exact thing for me. Same exact thing. So I worked in construction. Totally blue collar on the roof, you know, in the 100-degree weather in the summer. And I can remember, brutal. If I can remember, and this is, I'm sure you preach about having a why and having a big desire. Mine is to never, ever have to put that tool belt on and get on the roof, because I remember looking out the window and seeing that sun pop up over the horizon. I knew it was going to be a brutal day. So
Mark, I did a roof for my dad in 1987 in Lake Havasu in the summer. It was 115 degrees outside, and it was one of those, I don't know, it's not cement, but tile roofs. I promised myself I would never do that again. So I am right with you right now.
Well, I did it every single day, every summer through high school and college. So, that was brutal. Anyway, that's my major why. So from there, my brother was a highly rated hockey player. I think some of your listeners might be hockey fans, ice hockey. And so he was highly rated. And from there, I met a bunch of agents and I got into that business. And I actually, I was drawn to it by the glamour of the life. But not quickly, I think over 8 years, kind of, like we were discussing earlier, got tired of the travel and got tired of being fired by clients and then, having to rebuild their business over and over. And I saw recurring revenue. And I think, Jim, you're in real estate and you understand recurring revenue. And I met a gentleman in the payment space. And from there, I spent 20 years in payments and then kind of rolled into marketing. And for the last 4 years, we've had a company called Maxi Media, and we're completely crushing TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram. And, we're a performance marketing agency, and we're driving tons of traffic to the search feeds and for brands as well. So it's been quite a ride.
It seems like you've said yes quite a few times along the road, from sports agencies to marketing through construction at some point. What's been your harder yeses over the years and the most satisfying ones?
Well, I'll tell you one that's been hard is this book right here, The Lucky Formula, right? Uh-huh. So a friend of mine, he told me a long time ago, 10 years ago, he's like, Mark, you have to write a book. You have to write a book. And so I was fighting writing the book. And I was literally fighting it up until about 2 years ago. And finally I said, when COVID hit, I said, you know what, this world is crazy. I may as well write that book.
Yeah.
So that was one of the, it's been pretty rewarding, but pretty difficult, as well. But so I'm glad I did the yes. I took the leap of faith for the yes.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. We've talked about it on the show before. this COVID virus around the country shutting things down and people shutting down themselves. I've leveraged this opportunity to do so much more the last 2.5 years or whatever it's been. I've got my head down, grinding away, building my business up. And you wrote a book. Um, what a great opportunity to do something like that and come out ahead when this COVID thing flies away.
No, absolutely. But and also not only wrote a book, but our business has tripled over the last year. And everybody's gone online. So we've our staff went from in the last 2 years 25 to over 200 right now. So we're pretty much rocking pretty good. So
is that really fair? I think everybody's sitting at home getting high, drinking, and watching TikTok.
We took advantage of the opportunity, right?
You talk about being a sports agent. Offline, I mentioned I'm kind of new. I was new to podcasting 3 years ago. David Meltzer is the one that encouraged me to podcast and how to do it, and gave me a lot of encouragement. I paid him as a business coach, and now we're good friends and business mentors, and we share things back and forth. But he talks a lot about his life as an agent working for Leigh Steinberg, and the years and the travel and all that stuff. Touch a little bit more on that. I mean, you watch Jerry Maguire and it's like, wow, what a fascinating life, but at the same time, you've got the pitfalls. Talk a little bit about what you did and how that went for you and some of the high points.
Well, it started out. My brother was very highly rated, so he was rated. He was drafted fourth overall by the New York Islanders. So that was an amazing journey to watch him and my other brother to play Division I hockey at Boston University, and both get drafted. So my middle brother Scott got drafted by the Islanders fourth overall, and then my little brother Bob got drafted by the St. Louis Blues in the fifth round, I believe, the year after. So it was amazing to see them play. And then you have me, the runt of the litter that never had the opportunity. but if I can give you a story around that, I would get countless times people saying, "Hey, both of your brothers are super stud hockey players. What happened to you?" And my response to that would be, listen, I have two brothers playing pro hockey. Do you? So that I kind of flipped the switch, and that's kind of part of my lucky formula. It's perspective, right? So what perspective do you put on it? I was lucky to travel the world, go to the Olympics, go to Sweden every single summer because I was introduced to hockey players over there. So those are kind of the highlights, the travel to, let's call them exotic places, except for, cold Canada.
What type of parents did you have? I mean, obviously, they produced some athletes and a successful businessman. What types of disciplines did they integrate into your guys' upbringing?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I was working for my father construction. So my father was, he instituted work ethic big time in all of us. So, you've got, if you look at it, so we were the first three in the whole, I think there's 17 cousins to go to school, to go to university. So he instilled work ethic, studying, school. I'm not saying that I was an amazing student, but anyway, I still went to school. But he got us into personal development early on. At 10 years old, he sat us all down. We wrote out our goals. He had us write our goals down. And the crazy story around that is that literally almost everything we wrote down happened. Like, for example, play professional hockey, get drafted, play in the U.S. Olympic team. My brother did. Be successful in business. So it was funny. My middle brother, everything he hit. My little brother, most everything he hit. And what would hit for me, the goals that we set out at 10 years old was to be a successful businessman. And that hit for me as well. So I had phenomenal parents, and I cannot even say enough good about them.
That's awesome, and it's great that your dad encouraged you to write those goals down. Yesterday, I did a video for the Lion's Den, which is a Sean Whalen group. And it was just about that, writing goals down. 4 years ago, living in California, I wanted to raise my kids somewhere that, they can learn from, that had a different environment. And we decided we were going to work towards doing that. Well, here I am in Montana, raising cattle and horses and living on this ranch. But it's because I wrote it down. I looked at it, I aspired to have it, and I worked the program to get here. And I was able to do that in under a year. And people say, well, you've had a lot of success in your careers and stuff like that. But it still there's no guarantee, unless you work towards something and really make it happen. So I love that your dad taught you all that. And it's interesting that you all saw the success from writing it down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit more about your book. What's in it? I'm kind of jumping around,
Okay.
but I'm not,
Not a problem. Not a problem. So the book is called The Lucky Formula, and my last name Lachance or Lachance means lucky, so it's kind of a play on words. It's lucky in French. It starts out with the story of my crushing defeat back in 2007. So I was in 2006. I was off. I just sold my shares in a payments company, so I had millions in the bank and kind of arrogant and cocky and thought I could do no wrong. And I was presented with an opportunity in the real estate game, and I rolled it all in. Literally went all in on a real estate deal in Quebec, where it's called Le Studio. So it's a famous recording studio in northern Quebec called Le Studio, where you had Sting, Celine Dion, Rolling Stones, David Bowie. They all recorded there. So I
yeah.
kind of fell in love with the opportunity and fell in love with the opportunity to sell to the Brits. But I didn't see the red flags that were happening. I thought I could do no wrong and make no mistakes. And lo and behold, all the millions I put in were gone. So
Wow. Wow. That's it.
uh,
That's a hit. By any chance, did you work with Bruce Allen at that studio?
no, I don't know,
He's
Bruce.
the talent agent for three of those artists that you mentioned. I'd worked with him, in Canada for several years when he launched Michael Bublé. So,
Oh wow.
good
Okay.
little Canada
Cool.
story. That's all I got in Canada. So you lost all this money in that investment. What'd you do? You didn't go into depression and crawl into a hole?
I did crawl into a hole for about 6 months, and then I got the strength from somewhere out of nowhere to pick up the phone and call a friend of mine and say, "Hey, Todd, Todd is his name. Todd, this is the situation. What do I do?" And he said, "Well, lo and behold, good thing you have an amazing reputation in the payment space. My good buddy just cut a deal with the Canadian bank. He's running their portfolio, their bid. He's looking for somebody now in Canada to run the show." So I mustered up the strength to pick up the phone and call him. And 2 weeks later, I was sitting in his office in New York City, and sorry, in Long Island. And I had the pitch of my life. I don't know where I got the strength from. I have no idea. I mean, probably somewhere from above. And I had the best dance I've ever had. And I got equity in a company. I got 30% of a company, and I had not a dime to invest. So I had
Hmm.
to figure that out as well. But I made it happen. So I reached down deep and made it happen.
Wow, that's incredible turnaround. A lot of people, they say once you've made something, you know how to make it again and get there again, and you can take those hard hits, and that's certainly a hard hit. But you can pick yourself back up, even if it takes 6 months. And I think, yeah, I do think that it was probably a little God-inspired meeting, but at the same time, I think that you had the skills within you to do that. And it's important that we all recognize that. Obviously, you leveraged all the tools you had in your roster to have a successful meeting. What was the first day at that new company like?
Well, I was actually the first employee, obviously, and
Yeah.
it was just me for about 6 months, and building up the relationships and building out finding the office, and it was pretty cool. It was great to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I was literally on the verge of bankruptcy. I was this close,
Hmm.
and this company, or this opportunity, saved me big time. And I think a key component to that is I had to invest $250,000 in the company, and I didn't have a dime to my name. So I figured out a way to sell shares in a company that I didn't own yet to get to get equity in that company. So you have
Yeah.
to be creative, right, Jim? You have to be, when your back is against the wall, you have to come out swinging, and that's what I did.
Well, and I think what's great about that too, Mark, is that certainly you built a business and you created value for those shares that you sold.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, it seems really outside thinking. I've done that recently as well. But to generate interest and grow a company and have the talent to do that, if they didn't have you, they wouldn't have been built the way that it was, and you had some value there. So I'm giving you compliments
I
compliments here on
appreciate
your
it.
performance and what you've done. I think people are so limited in their way of thinking, especially as it relates to entrepreneurs and how they start companies and how they grow them, and the tools that are right there for you, like what you just suggested.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one comment I can give some value to your clients or to your listeners is the one thing that I fell prey to, and most entrepreneurs do. I call it. I don't know if it's anybody else coined it, but I'm saying I did. It's called the entrepreneur's dilemma.
Hmm.
So back in 2010, so about 2 years after I launched that payments company, I was sitting at my desk, and I was literally stressed out of my mind. I had 200 employees. I had about 1,000 emails in my email box. And Jim, you probably went through this in your career at one point. And I